Information.
A major movie is being made about one of the most controversial figures in Nevada history. Joe Conforte was the first man to operate a licensed brothel in our state. The Mustang Ranch made him a multimillionaire, but his ownership also drove him into exile. He's been living in South America for the past 17 years and remains a wanted man here. George Knapp of the I-Team is just back from Brazil, where he found Conforte hiding in luxury.
He's quite an interesting character. Joe Conforte insists that while he is still wanted by the FBI here, he is not a fugitive, not technically anyway. If he were to return, he'd be arrested immediately. That's because federal authorities think Conforte secretly bought his own brothel out of an IRS bankruptcy, then funneled piles of money to himself while he was living on the run. And when we say living on the run, it's a relative term.
You could pick a worse place to hide out than Rio de Janeiro, a sprawling, cosmopolitan, hedonistic oceanside paradise, known for skimpy attire and sizzling nightlife. Over the years, other journalists have traveled to Rio to find Joe Conforte. Although he's wanted in the U.S., he stays in touch with friends back home and can be contacted with their help. We were given an envelope with his address, but were told to open it only after we got to Brazil.
So we're on our way to see Joe Conforte, and according to our driver, he lives in one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in all of Rio.
Hey, say hello to him.
Conforte greeted us in silk pajamas, then introduced his newest female companion, an 18-year-old Brazilian who, for the time being, lives with the former bordello kingpin. Later, Conforte's 12-year-old daughter, Annabella, joined her dad. Conforte admits that fathering children with Brazilian women was one way he's been able to dodge FBI efforts to haul him back to the States.
Yes, CSM more or less thought of that it would be a good idea. But even all that wouldn't have made any difference if the Supreme Court would have ruled the other way.
A decision by the Supreme Court of Brazil a few years ago put an end to U.S. extradition efforts once and for all. Without us asking, Conforte volunteered that he did not have to bribe the High Court to get the ruling.
I mean, you know, you can bribe one, maybe two, but not nine.
But he admits he spent a lifetime buying off politicians and lawmen.
I've never met one that in the right time, the right place, for the right reason, they don't take money.
You never met one?
I've never met one.
Everywhere we went in Rio, Conforte stuffed money into outstretched hands. It's pretty much how he operated in Nevada for decades. He started running small brothels in northern Nevada in the late 50s, years before they were legal. It took a lot of cash to stay in business long enough to get the first brothel license and to see the Mustang Ranch grow into a sex-fueled money machine. At his peak, Conforte was the godfather of Story County, a national celebrity and a political power broker.
At that time, just about every politician in Nevada was friendly to me.
He also handed out a lot of freebies to his friends in government. Conforte declines to name names on the record, but says he had customers from many walks of life: cops, commissioners, legislators, 2 U.S. senators, and a lot more.
Right this minute, there's a Supreme Court justice of the United States, not Nevada, that came to the Mustang Ranch. Priests, Mormon bishops come there, a rabbi.
Despite having so many friends in high places, Conforte spent much of his life fighting the government.
When the case is over, we will prove that there was no bribe.
He served time for bribery and ran a casino while behind bars. He left for Brazil the first time back in 1980 after the IRS said he owed millions in back taxes, was talked into returning by federal agents so he could testify against his longtime friend, federal judge Harry Claiborne, then left for good in 1990, long before another federal indictment for tax and bankruptcy fraud charges. Since he left before being charged, Conforte insists he is not technically a fugitive.
But the heat's off.
They can't get you now. I mean,
No, legally, there's no way they can get me anymore.
In 2004, Conforte offered Nevada's U.S. attorney $500,000 to settle his case and allow his return. The offer was rejected. He says he's no longer interested. These days, his passions include playing cards a few times a week with pals at the Rio Bridge Club or dining out with his female entourage. During the years when the FBI was hot on his trail throughout Latin America, he got occasional questions about his background.
do people here know who you are?
Certainly they do. They just confronted me and say, "Are you this?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Well, okay." He says, "But while you're here, don't open it in your house." That's all.
Brothels are not legal in Brazil, but they are tolerated, Conforte says, adding that he has nothing to do with the business in that country. The movie in production, titled Love Ranch, is a fictionalized version of the love triangle involving Conforte, his wife Sally, and heavyweight boxer Oscar Bonavena, who was gunned down at the Mustang Ranch. Tomorrow at 5 and 11, the real story of what happened the night Bonavena died. And if you want to hear more of this interview, we have some extras from that on our website, KLAS-TV.com. Interesting guy.
Yeah, we'll see.